fading fast. I began to lose control. I began to lose control. I didn't mean to hurt you. I'm sorry that I made you cry. Oh, now I didn't want to hurt you. I'm just a jealous guy.
So in addition to being a guy who writes about jealousy, relationships, personal development, I am also possibly the world's biggest Beatles fan. Listeners to my podcast might remember my interviews with Mark Lewison, famous author about the Beatles. I actually did a whole research project about the Beatles when I was in graduate school, which maybe if you're interested, I could tell you about some other time. And I've always loved the song Jealous Guy by John Lennon. But what surprised me as a young child when I first heard this song and learned about this song, what surprised me about it was when John wrote the song, he wasn't speaking metaphorically, or he wasn't writing about other people. He was writing about himself. It was really more of a confessional than anything else. So John Lennon, founding member of the Beatles, one of the most famous and beloved musicians of all time, not to mention one of the most successful musicians of all time, struggled his whole life with jealousy and possessiveness in his relationships with women, in particular his second wife, Yoko Ono, who is, in case you haven't guessed it, the woman he's writing to in the song Jealous Guy. So I mentioned that I'm a massive Beatles nerd. I've read just about every book on the Beatles that you can imagine. I've, scanned every article online. I've read every interview. And John talked about jealousy quite a bit in his interviews and when he spoke to members of the press. There's one quote I found which I thought was just extraordinary. I'll read it to you. Talking to U.S. journalist David Sheff in 1980, Lennon revealed, quote, "The lyrics explain themselves clearly. I was a very jealous, possessive guy toward everything, a very insecure male, a guy who wants to put his woman in a little box, lock her up, and just bring her out when he feels like playing with her. She's not allowed to communicate with the outside world, outside of me, because it makes me feel insecure." So I just want to stipulate once again, this is John Lennon, one of the most famous people in the world, one of the most commercially and critically successful musicians of all time, multi-millionaire, successful in just about all the ways you can imagine. And here he is in Playboy magazine in 1980, bearing his soul to the world, talking about his struggles with jealousy, not to mention the song he released 9 years earlier, Jealous Guy, which really announces, his paralyzing insecurity when it comes to his relationship with his wife. I remember reading once in a book, I don't know if it's true, kind of an apocryphal story, but the author wrote about how Lennon on more than one occasion quizzed his wife about every single previous lover that she'd ever been with. Now, anyone watching this who struggles with retroactive jealousy will recognize that pretty clearly as one of the telltale signs of retroactive jealousy. Most of you probably know that John Lennon was shot and killed in 1980 at the age of 40 years old. And I often wonder, the progress he made toward his own jealousy toward the end of his life. We could read into the lyrics of his songs and the songs on his last album and all the rest. But I often wonder how his relationship might have changed, how his art might have changed, if he had gotten a better handle on his jealousy earlier in his life, if that would have made for maybe better relationships with women throughout his life, if that would have made for a better relationship with his wife, for example. And I share this story about John Lennon and Jealous Guy really for the benefit of any sufferer of jealousy, whether you're struggling with retroactive jealousy or any other kind of jealousy. And this is related to a video which I released, I think, a month ago or something, about embarrassment and retroactive jealousy, and how if you're struggling with retroactive jealousy, but you're putting in the work, you really have nothing to be embarrassed about. And in addition, people like John Lennon can struggle with extreme, paralyzing jealousy. A man who, from the outside looking in, looks like he'd have every reason to be the most confident, self-assured man on the planet. And here he is in the pages of Playboy magazine talking about his insecurity, talking about the fact that he has these impulses to really own his wife and lock her up and keep her from the world. He wants to really possess her. If a man like John Lennon can admit that in the pages of a major magazine and write a gorgeous song about it, and share it with the world, I think all of us can learn a lesson from that owning our jealousy, not making excuses for it, apologizing when necessary, and most importantly, owning up to it and putting in the work to overcome it. I think we can all learn a lesson from John Lennon and this beautiful song that he left us with. Because although in certain moments we might be jealous guys or jealous girls, that doesn't necessarily define us. And we all have the ability to change, to own our problems, to move forward in life, and to find the solutions that we need so we can leave jealousy behind. And again, if you're feeling any kind of embarrassment or shame around your jealousy, I'd recommend just think of John Lennon and think about one of the most famous people on the planet really owning his jealousy in such a public, stunning way. I think there's a lesson for all of us in that. Owning something, the first step toward freedom from a problem we have really is taking ownership of it. And you can be as public or not with that as you want, but I think the most important thing is to really own it. Because we can't start working to really fix our problems until we step up to the plate and really take ownership of them. Thanks for listening to my little rendition of Jealous Guy. Thanks for watching this video. If you found this interesting or useful in any way, please be sure to click the like button below. Also be sure to subscribe to my channel. I'll talk to you again very soon.